All right, everybody. This is NAT, right? So I'll create this little lab. Very simple. We have a private network and we have a public network. Now, obviously, we are, sharing the routing table. We're connected directly to the router. Let's go ahead and open up that router. All right, let's put it big so you guys can see everything in good detail. All right, and you can see I already named it NAT. And we'll do a show IP route. Okay, we're connected directly. So really we wouldn't need now, we have connectivity, but we're gonna pretend, how you would configure that. Okay? Remember, one of the most important things when you're taking your test, again, let me remind you right up front, CCNA certification exam. Okay? I told you I'm gonna tell you in every section, every lecture about this. If you get print screens or questions, because the feedback that I'm getting from the students is that there is no real NAT simulation. That could change at any moment. All right, Cisco can do whatever it wants with this test. Now, you need to just again understand the concepts. You have a public interface, which would be this one, right? Because it's going out to the public pretend web server, and you have a private interface going internal to your private network. So normally in everyday occurrences, we run the NAT protocol, network address translation. All right, now we have three types of NAT, as I said in the introduction to this section. We have static NAT, we have dynamic NAT, we have NAT overload. All right, we're going to discuss two, which is NAT overload and dynamic NAT. But I'll show you, I have it here already in my notepad, the static NAT configuration. Not feasible. I'm not going to go over it in detail or anything. All right, this is not based for concepts. Okay, it is just labs, right? Practice labs. But I'll talk about it a little bit. All right, static NAT is not that feasible. Why? Because you need for every private IP address that you have, you need a public IP address. All right, so I know few companies that use this for OSHA regulations or what have you, that they need to do it this way. But other than that, or certain applications that they need static NAT, again, that is not the norm. That is not the norm. It is the exception. Okay. The other one that we are going to discuss first will be NAT overload. Now, NAT overload is the more popular one, but when you're using either or, right? Now I'll put here NAT overload. Just put capital here. Overload. Start typing in capital. All right. You create a pool of addresses. All right. A pool of or address. I'm sorry. A pool of address. I should say really, because you're using only one address. Dynamic NAT uses a pool as well. Dynamic. Ooh. All right. Uses a pool also. But this one actually uses a pool of addresses. Okay, so different. But we'll go into dynamic NAT in the next lecture. So just know that somewhat similar, but one uses only one address, where the other one uses multiple addresses. Okay, so our focus would be to for this particular lecture, NAT overload. So one of the first things when you're looking at NAT overload, if you're given a print screen or what have you, you want to make sure that the interfaces, right? Let's say int, I believe I put what? F01 as a public interface. Okay, so you need to tell on that router int F0 /1 that it's IPNAT outside. He needs to know that that's the public interface, and that the int F0 /0 IPNAT inside. So that's one of the first things you want to look at in a print screen as you're scrolling down or what have you, whatever it is, or it could be a configuration, you never know. Just make sure that they're correct, that the outside is for the public and that the inside is for the private. All right, that's very important. If you get them backwards, there will be no translation. Once you get that, now you start checking the actual configuration of NAT overload. So we go IPNAT pool, then the name of the pool, we'll call it LAS. All right, doesn't really matter there. IPNAT pool LAS. And now in our example in the lab, you see we have 1.1.1. This is 1.1.1.254, right? I always use the last available IP address. By now, you guys should know that. So 1.1.1.254, 1.1.1.254. I have no real public addresses. active addresses. So this is the one I got to use. All right, that interface 255.255.255.0. All right. Uh, oops, forgot a command. Sorry. Net mask. All right. You gotta use the net mask command, or you can use the interface command and point it out the exit interface. You can do either or. All right. But this is normally what I do. All right. But again, you can question mark it and you'll see it when we get in there. All right. So this is not pointing. Now, people ask me, Laz, why is it the same address twice? All right. Remember, we're building a pool of addresses. So therefore, we put, but with NAT overload, NAT overload uses one public address for 65,000 plus addresses. So we put the same address twice to it's a pool. Think about the programming behind it, that there's two slots, so we have to, put two addresses. Oh, you get an error. Okay? But you have to put the same address twice because we're using that one address for everybody in our network. And if you have a network bigger than 65,000 people, then oh wow, okay, cool. Then you need another public address for another 65,000 people. All right. Anyway, so that's the first thing you want to look at. You want to make sure that that statement's there. The pool, the IP, the correct public IP address, and the correct mask. The next thing is an access list permitting your local network. And it's a standard. Access list 10, whatever, 9, 20, whatever it is, a standard. This is the 1.0 network. So we're going to permit the 1.0 network. That's going to be 192.168.1.0. 000.255. Make sure when you're looking at this that it has access list 10 and of course permit after that. Sorry about that. Permit and then the actual network statement with the correct wildcard mask. Look at that. All right. Pitfalls, ladies and gentlemen. All right. And then you're saying, well, gee, Laz, the access list 10 permit. How is that going to look at NAT, right? Because this access list is not going to be applied to any interface. It's going to be listening what's called interesting traffic. So the next line that I'm going to put is going to tie these two first lines together. So how do we do that? We go IPNAT IPNAT inside source list. What list am I talking about? List 10. Oh, what pool? Well, Laz. And then the very magical word, overload. All right? This is what makes it NAT overload. This particular word right here. You take this off, you are done. Only one person will be able to actually go in and use the NAT. Nobody else. You'll get 200 million trouble tickets saying, hey, I can't get to the internet. I can't get here. I can't get there. I can't get here. I can't get there. So definitely, you need to make sure of that. Okay? So let's go ahead and do it. All right, so I'm going to go inside this router. All right, so let's go into our interfaces. We've got to go to global first. So interface F0/1, enter, IPNAT outside, int F0/0, IPNAT inside. Now we get out of there. We're going to put it in global configuration. Let's create our pool. And again, the pool of one address. IPNAT pool, Laz, 101.1.254, 101.1.254. Now I'm going to put a question mark here. Here you see that the packet tracer, remember the packet tracer was built for the CCNA. Now, even though we use the net mask, you can use an interface command pointing it to the exit interface. You can put interface and then the actual interface, that's going outside. All right, but we're going to use net mask. All right. So we're going to put 255.255.255.0. That's the net mask. You hit enter. Now we create the access list. Access -list 10, the one like we used before, permit the 192.168.1.0 and then the wildcard mask 0.00.255. Oops, what am I doing? 55. Okay. And now the third line that puts everything, these two lines together. IPNAT inside, right? Inside source list. What list is that? 10. Pool, Laz, and then our magical word, overload. Now, real quick, make sure when you're checking that this access list matches this list and that this pool is matching the correct pool. And it's case sensitive, ladies and gentlemen. All right, case sensitive. They're getting tricky. All right, let's do WR. Now, in order to verify if you do have to do a simulation, you have to go through the router. It's just not going to say magically, hey, translate it. You got to do a ping at least. All right, so we're going to go ahead and ping our server out there, which is 1.1.1.1. Ping 1.1.1.1. And of course, we'll have to wait because of Ethernet and the ARP. All right, let it go. And we're going to do it one more time so we can get, a couple frames in there. Or packets, I should say. All right, so we successfully pinged our outside web server. So we're going to go back to our router. And we're going to do the command show IP NAT translation. Okay, and there you see the protocol that we use, which was ICMP because we're pinging. You see the inside global address, which is always anything that's global will always be public, so it doesn't really matter. So this is the source, right? The we use for the pool. Your inside local, well, that's your IP address on your computer. The outside local, that is the destination web server. And then the outside global, again, global is always going to be global. Okay, so it doesn't matter. So they're your destination, where you're going to. All right, so there you go. There's your translation. Now remember, this is ping. So these right here are representing port numbers. If you were to, let's say, you go to through HTTP. Let's go on and go through there. 1.1.1.1. Oop, one too many decimals. And we go there, and we go back to our NAT router. You will see now a different protocol. Let me just go up arrow, show IP NAT translation. And now you see that it's TCP, not ICMP. All right, but you can see that now we're using a source port above 1024, right? The well-known ports, and the destination port of where we're trying to get to, all right, which is port 80. Port 80. Okay, but that's it. That's all there is to NAT overload. You just gotta watch out for those pitfalls. Let me bring my notepad back out here. Verify that the word overload is there. Make sure that the pool is pointing to the correct pool and is case sensitive. And make sure that the access list 10 that matches with this list 10. All right. If they want to get really tricky, they can mess you up in the wildcard mask over here. All right. That's it though. But that is NAT overload. All right. Our next lecture is dynamic NAT. I'll see you there.